Today, we're going to be showing you guys how to replace the front motor on your City 2023. All the tools you're going to need is a adjustable wrench, a precision screwdriver, two 6mm Allen keys, one 2.5mm Allen key, one 4mm Allen key, two 5mm Allen keys, and a pair of flush cutters. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and remove our brake line from the drum brake. We'll pull the brake line out from the lever, and then we'll go ahead and put all of the hardware for our brake line on the brake line, just like this, so that we don't misplace anything. Now we'll go ahead and loosen up the screw that holds the drum brake in place. This requires a 4mm Allen key. Now we'll put the screw to the side and just make sure not to lose it, as it is very important for our brakes. Next, we'll go ahead and flip the scooter. So now with our scooter flipped over, we can go ahead and remove all the screws that hold the deck cover in place. Now we'll go ahead and remove our kickstand as well. And now we should be able to just lift the deck off of the scooter, just like that. Next, we can go ahead and disconnect the charge ports, and we could put the plastic deck cover to the side as well. Now we'll remove the inner deck cover that secures our battery and controller compartment. Now next, we'll remove our inner deck cover and put this to the side as well. Next, we'll use a pair of flush cutters to cut off the zip tie and any shrink wrap that is holding the connectors together. Now we'll disconnect our connectors. And we only need to disconnect our motor connectors here. We recommend disconnecting the battery connector because when working with electricity, it could be troublesome, and we don't want to have any electricity flowing through the scooter while playing with electronics. Just like that. And now we're gonna go ahead and remove our motor from our swing arms. We'll use an adjustable wrench to loosen our motor nuts. And now we'll go to the other side and loosen it up as well. Next, we'll remove our lock washers. Sometimes they could be difficult to get off, so you can use a needle nose plier to pry them off. And now the motor should just come right up. Sometimes the fender screws might get in the way, so you don't have to loosen them all the way and remove them all the way, but you just gotta loosen them enough so that the washers can clear them. So now we got our motor off. We will remove the washers that are on the inner side of the shaft, and we will also remove the drum brake from the motor and just put it to the side. Next, we'll go ahead and loosen up the screw that holds our motor cable to the swing arm. This requires a 2.5 millimeter Allen key. You do not have to remove it all the way, but just enough so that the motor cable is free. And just like that, it's free. So the next thing we're gonna do is cut the motor cable that is currently attached to our motor. Make sure to grab a sharp pair of cutters, as the wires are thick and can be difficult to cut. Sometimes a pair of flush cutters will work better than wire cutters. And just like that, it's cut. So now we'll go ahead and remove our motor completely, and we can throw it away. So the reason that we cut the motor is so that we have something to attach the new motor cable to and to use as a fishing line. This way you won't have as many issues guiding the multiple connectors through the small channels. It'll just make life much easier. Next, we'll go ahead and loosen or remove the screw that holds the suspension in place. To remove these screws, it requires two 5 millimeter Allen keys. Now with our screw loosened completely and removed, we will put this to the side. Next, we'll have to grab a punch and a hammer or a rubber mallet to get the pin that is still holding the suspension out. And just like so, the pin comes out. A few more taps, and there. Now you'll feel the swing arms drop. That is normal. Make sure not to lose this pin, as it is very important. So next, we're gonna go ahead and remove our fender. There are 4 screws in total, 2 on each side, and they are located in the same places. To remove them, it requires a 2.5 millimeter Allen key. We'll go on the other side and do the same thing. And once you only have 1 screw left, you can go ahead and put your hand underneath the fender to make sure it doesn't just fall and potentially get damaged. So now we'll go ahead and put our fender and the screws to the side as well. So now that we got our fender removed, we have access to 2 screws here. Only one will need to be removed. We will remove the clip off of the motor wire because we will need to put it onto our new motor. Now we'll go ahead and just pull the old motor cable from underneath the suspension, and we'll leave it for now just like this. Make sure not to pull on either sides, as you don't want to lose one side or the other. So at this stage in the repair, you can go ahead and grab your new motor and you can put it onto the swing arms. Just make sure that your suspension is somewhat aligned. If it is like facing all the way down, as it just was, the motor will not fall into these swing arms. So just like that. And next, we will pull our connector cables behind these swing arms. You might have to lift every once in a while these swing arms to clear up some room and space. But once you got it through, you could just feed it through just like this. And make sure your brake cable doesn't get crossed. And like that is how it's supposed to be. So next, we're gonna go ahead and tape our new motor's connectors to the old motor's cables cut side. And we are going to try to make it as flush as possible. We don't want too many bumps or for the tape to be too thick, because it has to run through so many channels, it could get caught, and we don't want to cause any unnecessary damage. So you're gonna want to have your wire taped up like this before you go ahead and tape up the new motor wires to the old motor cables. Tape down these wires. You want to make sure to have it taped up to be as thin as possible. Otherwise, it won't go through, and you could end up tearing some wires on the inside. So now we'll go slowly and push on or pull on our old cables in order to get our new cables through. So now we'll continue to pull the wires out. You might have to pull up your swing arm while doing this action as well, because the motor cable gets a little pinched by the suspension. All right, and now that our wire is through, we'll go ahead and untape our connectors and remove our old cable completely. So next, we're gonna go ahead and secure our motor wire to our swing arm. We're just gonna tighten the screw and torque it down. Next, we'll go ahead and reconnect our connectors. Make sure to put yellow with yellow, blue with blue, and green with green. And make sure you reconnect this cable. Next, we'll go ahead and reconnect our battery connector. And then we'll go and stuff our wires back into the deck. So next, we can go ahead and start closing things up. All right, so next we'll start with our inner deck plates. Make sure you line up all the holes properly, just like this. We'll grab our 4mm Allen key, and we'll make sure to put the screws where they are supposed to be. So next we'll go ahead and grab our outer deck cover. First we'll make sure to plug in our charge port. We'll make sure when putting the deck cover back to not be pinching the wire. And now we can go ahead and start putting our screws back. Now, in case that you find that your deck cover is not flush with the body, you can grab your rubber mallets again and give some light taps to the side Sometimes you have to be a little bit forceful, but you don't have to worry as long as you use a rubber mallet. And now we'll go and make sure that everything is completely torqued down, because when this happens, it can loosen up the screws again. And next, we'll reinstall our kickstand. So now we're gonna go ahead and put our clip back that secures our motor wire to our neck. Next, we're gonna go ahead and secure the suspension to the swing arms. For this part, we recommend grabbing your friends again. So we are going to make sure that everything is lined up properly, and then we can go ahead and push that in. Then we'll grab our rubber mallet and tap. And just like that, it'll go in. It's not going in all the way, but that's fine because once we grab our screw that secures it, it'll pull it all the way through. When retightening the shaft that holds the suspension, you will need to use 2 5mm Allen keys. So once you feel that the screws are tight, that means you are good and no longer need to continue tightening. So next we're gonna go ahead and put back our fender. Now, usually you should just be able to slip it in just like that. But if you find that you aren't able to, you can go ahead and loosen the swing arm screws and spread the swing arm so that it opens up some space and you'll have some more room. Make sure everything is lined up as we don't want to snap any screws. Now we'll go ahead and do the same for this side. Make sure everything is lined up properly. And now our fender is secured again. Next, we're gonna go ahead and start tightening up our motor. So next, we'll grab our spacers, making sure to put the spacers where they belong. Now for this part as well, if you're having issues getting the motor back on with the spacers, you could go ahead and loosen the swing arms and everything should fall back into place. So for this case, we're gonna go ahead and loosen up these nuts. You don't have to loosen them up all the way, just enough so that you could spread the side that is not falling down. A tire iron or something to spread it with, like a screwdriver, and then right there you go. So now we'll go back and tighten up these screws. Now, when retightening them, you will notice that there is a little washer behind the screw. You need to make sure that it is lined up with the swing arms perfectly, or it'll cause some issues. So next, we'll secure our lock washers and our motor nuts to our swing arms. All right, so to finish this repair off, we're going to go ahead and secure the front brake. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and secure our drum brake to our swing arm. We'll install this screw back again, making sure the holes are lined up properly. Next, we can go ahead and secure our line to our drum. We'll go ahead and grab our hardware that we left on our line earlier. And we will put the brake line like this. Then we'll add our spring. Then we'll add the holder to our arm. And then we will push our wire through and pull back our swing arm or our lever to free up some threads. And then we can thread it back on. And we'll make sure that everything is still aligned. We'll tighten up the brake line and give it a spin every once in a while to make sure it's not rubbing. And that's how you change the front motor on your City 2023.